Be very careful where you get your Switch 2 from. Nintendo, what did you do this time? Nothing! I just enforced the terms of service that I already told everyone about. That's never a good sign. Yeah. Remember that change that Nintendo made to their terms of service? The one that said that if you make any unauthorized modifications to your Switch 2, that they have the right to permanently disable your console, like ban the account? That's the thing. We thought the ban would be account-based. Turns out, it's system-based.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix, and we are at it again. Nintendo's at it again. It's always one controversy after the other. It doesn't end. It keeps on going. And honestly, I've been having fun, just ripping on Nintendo day after day, video after video. It's actually gotten really fun, and I'm just kind of hoping that at this point Nintendo just keeps the controversies going. So, for today's video, Nintendo goes after the used game market. Yeah, you heard it, the used game market. Remember the good old days where you could just sell your games at GameStop and get some money out of it? Yeah, I believe those days are coming to a clear end. But anyways, guys, it's your boy Andy Matrix. If you haven't heard of me, you can check out my YouTube channel, Andy Matrix Gaming. I talk about anime, gaming, Japanese culture. If you like any of those things, make sure to follow me. The link is in the description. Go ahead and check me out. Okay. I'm planning on going live stream, just going live stream at least once a week or so. So go ahead and check that out. And make sure to subscribe to Angry Guy on Rumble, because YouTube is a censor station. There's more freedom on Rumble, and Angry Guy's uploading his videos over there on Rumble. And also uploading some new videos, some new stuff. Yeah, he's got some new stuff over there on Rumble. Go check that out. And finally, don't let the elites tell you that you own nothing and be happy. Angry Guy suggests that you invest into cryptocurrency. Crypto is the future. Bitcoin is at 100,000. It's a little over $100,000, and other coins are going to go up in price as well. So make sure to go ahead and invest into crypto. Angry Guy will show you how to do it with the Crypto Academy. How to buy, sell, and day trade crypto, make a profit off of crypto. The link is in the description section. Now, on with the show. Okay, so Nintendo does not like used game market. I think gaming companies in general, like Sony, Microsoft, Xbox, Nintendo, they don't like the used game market because it does give you some power as a consumer. You do have some power, because let's say you buy, Final Fantasy game for $60, and then you sell it to a friend for $20. That is one less customer that the corporations can make money off of. So instead of that one person going to the store and buying another copy, they get the copy directly from you. So that hurts their pocket. So that's why they don't like the used game market. But what bothers me is that they want all the power and the consumer has no power. No, I don't like that. That's absolutely unfair. There's got to be a balance of power. If the power belongs just to one person, they'll become a dictator like Nintendo. So, this is one of the reasons why, they programmed the Nintendo Switch 2 to be an absolute dictator machine. Dictator machine. I kind of like that name. Dictator machine. That's what I'm going to call the Switch 2. Dictator Mac. Dictator Mac. Okay, let me shut up. Anyways. So recently, a user on Reddit reported that Nintendo bricked their Nintendo Switch after they tried to play a used game. So after I heard this story, I'm like, wait a minute. How does the Switch 2 know it's a used game? Because let's say for example, if when you save a game, it doesn't necessarily save it on the cartridge. It saves it on the device. It uses the storage of the device. Am I right? It uses either the internal storage of the Switch, or it uses the external storage of the SD card. Right? One of those two. So how does it know that you're using a used game card? This is some crazy technology. This is crazy. Oh man, pretty soon they'll be able to read your fucking fingerprint on the cartridge and shit, man. This is, I don't know. We're heading into some scary times. We can't hide anything anymore. The corpos, they want to know exactly what we're doing, everything that we're doing. All right, so I'm gonna give it to Fratanga. He's gonna fill us into this Reddit story, right? So make sure to throw some tackles at him, when he's done. So hit it.
But one thing I do notice is all the residents here seem to really hate Nintendo. Something about it being overpriced here, and their government coming after Nintendo. Something about Nintendo turning their Switch 2 into a tijolo. Not sure what that means. I speak Taco Bell. Either way, they're not too happy about it. Nobody's happy with Nintendo as a company. Sure, they may like their products, but a lot more people are outspoken about the company and their antics these days than ever before, and that's only a good thing in my opinion. I mean, it won't result in less people buying the Switch 2. It's still going to be the most successful console in history, probably. But as long as people know what they're getting into and we can make them feel bad about their purchase, then that's a win for me. Because we have yet another case of the brickening. But this time, this one is even more unforgivable than the last. And it brings about great concerns for people who have second-hand games. Because like I said, Nintendo's whole goal is to kill the second-hand market, to kill used games. People don't believe me when I tell them this, but today's story might convince you. Switch 2 players are getting banned after playing used games. Oh no.
No more refills!
See, that's one of the benefits to Nintendo, right? The used games market. Because when I had a 3DS, I never bought games brand new from Nintendo. Ever. Whoever could sell me a Nintendo game at a discount is who I would purchase from. Because that's how you can build collections a lot quicker and cheaper. And well, with game key cards, Nintendo's made it obvious how much they dislike that secondhand market. Of course though, just because Nintendo hates it doesn't mean they can ban anybody for using secondhand games. That would be illegal, which is why I'm not convinced that this was done on purpose. There's no way Nintendo would brick someone on purpose for secondhand games. Not intentionally anyway. I mean, in their sleep, in their dreams, they probably think of it all day long. But they know they can't actually do that, so we need an explanation as to what's going on. But before we get into the meat of this story, let me remind you all that we are so close to 100k subs, it's insane. I've had trouble sleeping because I don't know what I'm supposed to do after 100k subs. All I know is I want to get there, and you guys have been making that possible. So once I get that silver play button, I will reveal it to you all with the face reveal in front of a Home Depot. So smash that subscribe button and let's have a read. This story comes to us fresh about an hour ago. Some Nintendo Switch 2 consoles are being banned after inserting used games, and those players are sharing their warning with early adopters of the new console. This ban could dramatically shake up the way that used games are purchased and played on the Nintendo Switch 2 in comparison to other systems. Multiple gamers have reported that buying used games ended up bricking their Switch 2 console. In one player's case, everything seemed fine when they initially inserted the Switch 1 cartridge and downloaded an online update. However, they returned the next day to discover that their Switch 2 had been banned from using online services, including purchasing new games. Other users reportedly went through the same thing when buying a used copy or borrowing a Switch game from a library. And this comes to us from the Switch Reddit community. I'll post a link to that Reddit page down below for you. Switch 2 users, be careful buying used Switch 1 games. You can get banned if a bad actor dumped it. Having said that, Nintendo support is amazing and will help get you back up and running. Got banned and unbanned after simply downloading patches for 4 Switch 1 games I bought from Facebook Marketplace. If you get banned, go to this link here and under talk to a human, select start chat. It's fast, painless, and you get a live person helping you.
See, that's the type of... I'm gonna kick your ass.
Jesus Christ! This is what I mean by Nintendo being able to brick people's systems is the worst case scenario. It's the most dramatic measure taken by Nintendo in order to protect their intellectual properties. I knew the minute I read that policy on paper that it would mean a lot of people who did nothing wrong did nothing illegal would face consequences. And I was right. Everything from used brick Switches making their way into retail and being resold to people, to Nintendo banning anybody who they deem has quote-unquote suspicious activity because they're stupid and their online services are archaic and so outdated. I mean, in general, anybody who pays for Switch Online is getting scammed. It is easily the worst online service of any gaming company. But most importantly, paying for online gaming in general is an outright scam. Never forget, Nintendo didn't start charging you for that until the Switch 1, and it's only gotten more expensive since then. But that's just crazy to think about. It almost didn't cross my mind. I mean, I thought about it once, and now that it's being brought up because of this story, it just makes me realize how crazy of a company Nintendo is. Indeed, there are a lot of dumped Switch 1 games out there in the wild right now that can be passed off as actual original copies. And people who don't know any better, which is, the majority of people who purchase these things, will suspect nothing. And those people get taken advantage of. And as a result, they get bricked. And that's hilarious because, Nintendo tells the consumer, hey, these measures are put in place to protect consumers, when in the end, all they do is result in consumers having a $400 paperweight. Well, if you're in Brazil, an $800 paperweight. And again, like I've said many times, this is on purpose. Right? Nintendo knows what they are doing. They want to scare their consumer base into never purchasing anything secondhand.
That is right, everybody. And as we are heading into the all-digital future, you're going to want to invest into cryptocurrency. Okay, go ahead and check out Angry Guys Crypto Academy, where you can learn how to buy, sell, day trade crypto, make a profit off of crypto. But most importantly, the trickiest thing about crypto is which ones to buy. Which ones should you buy? Right? That's the trick about cryptocurrency. Because there's so many of them. There's thousands of them. But there's really going to be a handful, like just 10, 20 of them in the future. So go ahead and check out Crypto Academy. The link is in the description.
Hey guys. In a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
Now let's get on with the show. So, I'm honestly surprised that there aren't more videos out there of people returning their Nintendo Switch. And I think one of the reasons is because people know that the Switch 2 is very flawed. Because, the news is just, there's a lot of content out there on the internet, on TikTok, YouTube, freaking Twitter. There's a lot of content being made out there, So I think that people really just want to get their hands on certain games. Like maybe they're just really waiting for Donkey Kong Bonanza, for the AAA games that are coming for the Switch. Maybe they're waiting for that, Maybe they're just really, really, really super duper loyal to Nintendo. Like Nintendo is their god. Right? Right? I mean, there should really more... at this point, with all these problems, there should really be more people out there just returning their Nintendo Switch 2, like in the millions, at least.
Be very careful where you get your Switch 2 from. Nintendo, what did you do this time? Nothing. I just enforced the terms of service that I already told everyone about. That's never a good sign. Yeah. Remember that change that Nintendo made to their terms of service? The one that said that if you make any unauthorized modifications to your Switch 2, that they have the right to permanently disable your console? Like ban the account? That's the thing. We thought the ban would be account-based. Turns out it's system-based. Actions have consequences. I mean, I guess, but that also means that even if you weren't the one that made these modifications to the console, you still can't use it. The console's pretty much bricked for good. This is going to cause a lot of issues when it comes to buying used consoles or even refurbished ones. Oh, so people are going to have to buy more Switch 2s. Sounds like a good problem to have. I don't know how you get away with this. You can still play games offline though, right? No. All Switch 2 games require an internet connection so that way you can update the games and they can verify the license. Nintendo, this is not a good look. Really. This is coming from the guy that shipped out millions of pre-bricked consoles with a thing called Red Ring of Death. Bro, why does every L always somehow come back to me? He kind of walked into that one. Either way, use this as a PSA. If you're buying a Switch 2, connect it to Wi-Fi and log into your Nintendo account before buying it. If it's bricked, you'll get this error message right here.
So the used game market was an entire gaming economy. It was, because you could buy a game and sell it directly to one of your friends or your neighbor, or if you're in school, sell it to somebody in your class, in your classroom, right? You buy a game for $50, sell it for 20, 25, right? You get some money back. It's an economy. It's a whole economy, But now that not only is the real world economy collapsing, right? We're going through an economic collapse, but the video game, the secondhand gaming economy is also collapsing. Damn it! Like, what the heck? There's absolutely no joy here. They're taking away our joy. They're germs. Where's that? Should put that little South Park meme. But anyways, I remember when people could sell their video games at GameStop. Get a decent price and make some good money. Those were the days, the 2000s. That's why 2000s nostalgia was a real thing, man. 2000s nostalgia was a real thing. It's not just 80s nostalgia, 90s nostalgia. 2000 nostalgia is also very popular as far as lifestyle, man. The way that we used to live. We had no idea how good we had it. And this is why physical games are so important. And sometimes I feel like a hypocrite because me personally, I don't have a lot of physical stuff for personal reasons. But I do believe that, there should be, people should have physical games. Like, there should be options to own the game physically, even if it costs a little more. Being able to buy and sell games that you own was pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. And they're taking that power away from us by forcing us to buy digitally, consume digitally only. This is why corpos like Nintendo, they want the all digital future so that capital does not flow outside of the Nintendo sphere. Does that make sense? Anyways, let's go ahead and get back to Fratanga. Hit it!
That is the goal. Don't buy used Switch 2. Don't buy used Switch games. It's not safe. Why? Oh, well, we made it not safe. Well, fuck you. And that's the best part about this. The ones you should worry about when it comes to buying used are not the people selling to you. It's Nintendo themselves. The worst part about this is it took him the next day for his Switch to be updated and tell him that it was bricked. Now, this is actually commonplace. A lot of people do not know they are bricked and that they have set their Switch to being useless until usually a few hours to a day later. Instead of just inserting a card and then it being read and then the next day telling you, this is a pirated game, you can't play it. Instead, Nintendo outright disables the entire online functionality of your console. You can't tell me that isn't absurd. Nobody should ever have to reach out to Nintendo and be like, hey, can you unban my system? And in regions of the world where secondhand games really come through for people who really want a Nintendo device, the risk just does not seem worth it. And bans like this are why Brazil even pursued Nintendo in the first place. The very fact that Nintendo has made it safer to play Switch games on PC than on their actual device is stupid. I shouldn't have to explain to anyone why that is ridiculous. Why run the risk of buying used Switch games and have this happen instead of emulating? Nintendo shills will never be able to answer that question because in their hearts, Nintendo can do no wrong and you are just a pirate who deserved it. That's how they all view this, never realizing that there are so many loopholes and things Nintendo did not cover with their policy that affects those who did nothing wrong to begin with. And it's funny because all the Nintendo guys will say, well, you should have never bought used. Support the company. Fuck you. I can't stand Nintendo guys. In their minds, there is no person out there who doesn't just get banned for not deserving it. This is definitely going to lead to more lawsuits across the world and not just Brazil. Because there has to be measures put in place to actually protect consumers, which was supposed to be Nintendo's job, but all they did was make it even riskier to own this device. And believe me, I'm not one who's in favor of the government poking their nose around our hobby. But in my opinion, this is a direct attack on the secondhand market from Nintendo. And when things like this happen, happen, measures must be taken. Those consumers should be protected, not punished, and instead of looking out for people who this could happen to, Nintendo has instead opted for universally banning anybody. And I question how that even works in Nintendo's favor, other than to convince consumers to never purchase secondhand again, which only works in their favor and nobody else's. It's bad enough that Nintendo spends virtually nothing to develop these games and takes their sweet ass time with it, and they never drop the price. As a matter of fact, the price of their older games only goes up. So a used market is quite necessary. It's no secret Nintendo overprices everything they release.
You know something? I honestly can't wait to see the results, the end results of Brazil suing the living crap out of Nintendo, man. Remember, Brazil won the battle. They won a similar lawsuit with Sony PlayStation. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna win against Nintendo. I'm pretty sure of that. You know, like Fratanga said, you know, this is a direct attack on the secondhand market. Okay, so this is an attack on the consumer essentially. And you know, it's technocracy. It's a technocracy, you know, to have complete control, not just of the consumer, but also of the devices that the consumer uses, right? Because if you can, you know, because we rely so much on technology that we almost cannot be away from it. We almost cannot live without it. The internet has become such a reliable thing to use. For your job, your school, your business. You do business on the internet, right? And this is one of the reasons why they started connecting your consoles to the internet. It's not just for multiplayer, but because they saw it as an easy way to control people. You know, so, you know, controlling someone's device means you can almost control the individual as well. I'm gonna leave it there. Whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below. Make sure to like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. Everybody, it's your boy Andy Matrix. Godspeed, baby.